What's going on, guys? Ultimate Battles here, and one of the things I had planned for 2026, was to rewatch or pretty much watch for the first time every Marvel movie leading up to Avengers Doomsday. It's going to come out later this year in December. Now, I'm a super Marvel casual. I've only watched like Infinity War and Endgame and some of the other ones like Black Panther and what else have I watched? Iron Man, but pretty much, guys, for the most part, I am pretty much watching these Marvel movies for the very first time. And for today's video, I'm going to be talking about Captain America, the first Avenger. This movie came out in 2011. It's obviously starring Chris Evans. This movie was directed by Joe Johnson. Right off the bat, guys, like I said, I'm a super Marvel casual. I obviously know what Captain America is, but just seeing his story play out, his origin, and all that. For a movie that came out in 2011, this movie's like 15 years old at this point almost, right? But I think this movie, guys, is fucking brilliant. Everything about this movie is great. You have Captain America, right? And I feel like I didn't really know the lore about Captain America, but I feel like they explored it really well. One of the things I love about this movie, just the fact that it takes place in like World War II's era, I love how like it's set in that time, and I love how just that time period, and they really captured it perfectly in this movie. Everything from the sets, the sounds design, the way that like all the characters are, the way that they talk, just like the look and feel of like early 19 late I'm pretty sure it's like late 30s early 40s, like World War II time. And you definitely just feel that in this movie. You feel like you're really like in that time period. That's what I love about this fucking movie. Maybe just because I'm a sucker for like shit like that, but I really thought that was brilliant. Obviously, Steve Rogers in this movie is great. Chris Evans was surely meant for this role, obviously, and I definitely feel like in the beginning, he's definitely that like scrawny, like small little kid, and you kind of see he has his desire. He wants to be a soldier, he wants to fight for his country, but he's really not able to. He's basically like kind of like always being overlooked. He has the heart, but he doesn't really have the physical capabilities of like being a soldier. Then he goes to boot camp. He talks to this crazy ass scientist like, hey, we're gonna put you in this experiment. Let's see how it goes. Next thing you know, this guy comes out of a crazy tube and he's fucking jacked as fuck, and he's Captain America, baby. One of the things I love about this movie, guys, is the action. This movie is super fun. This is just a fun movie. It's only about like 2 hours. It's not super long, and I feel like the pacing in this movie is super great. This is a movie that just flows super well. It doesn't feel boring. There's no really scenes that drag, in my opinion. It just feels super, just a movie. You want to see like on a Friday night. Just you want to put on a little fun action movie. Put on this one. And I definitely love the performances of this movie. Obviously, we were talking about Chris Evans. Haley Atwell's Peggy, super fucking just memorable. There's so many memorable moments in this movie. Just one of the funniest moments is just like the way that they were able to like kind of explain why he wears like the costume, and how it's just kind of like war propaganda and all that. I thought they played that so amazing. It is one of my favorite parts of this movie. Just the way that they kind of make sense. It was one of the things. I was like, how are they gonna explain him wearing like the ridiculous ass suit? I feel like they did it perfectly. The fact that he's kind of like this poster child for like the army. He's like kind of like Uncle Sam at this point. He's just always doing all these shows and stuff. It's one of the funniest moments is when he's doing that show from all these soldiers. They just started like bullying the fuck out of him, and they want no part of him. They just wanted to see all the girls come out. I thought that was fucking funny. But you definitely feel like in this movie that Steve Rogers like always having to prove himself. He's always having to prove that he's not just like a propaganda toy. He's like an actual soldier. And he definitely on that mission where he goes out and he rescues all those fucking soldiers that got captured, and he comes back with them, and that's that walk where they're kind of walking towards the gate and they're all behind him. That's one of the awesomest fucking moments of this movie. It's super fucking just great. And definitely Red Skull in this movie is so fucking like good, guys. Red Skull is honestly one of the best villains in a Marvel movie, like period. He's just super great, and you can just feel like the performance. He is super just like, you can feel like the evil inside of him. He definitely has a lot of memorable scenes. Then when you see him for the first time with the Red Skull look, it's definitely very effective. I was like, man, this guy is fucking, he's a bad guy, bro. And he's definitely one of my favorite Marvel villains so far. He's definitely a classic, and this movie in general is a classic. And I was really little when this came out. I was probably like maybe like 8 or 9, so like I wasn't really into Marvel at the time. I didn't see this when this came out. I don't have any memories of seeing this, but I'm pretty sure this movie was a big deal when it came out. Definitely they're trying to establish the MCU at that time early on, and I feel like definitely like phase 1 of Marvel, it's definitely super influential, and I feel like it's definitely something that like I think about when I watch it, just because although I didn't watch them back then, I kind of understand like, you know, these movies are really looked back like fondly, you know, and you definitely see that, you know, these movies are great. And I feel like Captain America: The First Avenger is a movie that I wish I had seen sooner. It is definitely a movie that I will rewatch again in the future. You know, it is just a perfect way to kind of just a perfect one of the best like just origin stories for Marvel ever. You know, just super fun, memorable characters. It is a great time. Sebastian Stan comes on this movie also as Bucky, and you kind of see like just like the way that like Cap and Bucky's relationship is, that bromance, kind of like the duo that they have. Super fucking fun to watch, and it's memorable. There's so many great lines from this movie, and just, you know, one of my favorite ones is, you know, I can do this all day, you know. And just when you see him do it like this early on, you know, and he kind of, you know how he always says, he says in Endgame also and all that. It's like it's definitely just like you kind of see how like the long-term storytelling that Marvel had planned. You know, it's definitely very just interesting. But other than that, guys, you know, I'm gonna give Captain America: The First Avenger an 84%. Definitely a great watch. Like I said, you know, this, like I said, you know, I pretty much didn't watch a lot of these Marvel movies, so seeing them for the first time, it's definitely cool. And it's one of the best Marvel movies I've ever seen, and I haven't seen a lot of them, so I'm definitely looking forward to like seeing the rest of these movies and how this story plays out. So yeah, other than that, guys, you know, this is just a quick little review. You know, like I said, I'm rewatching pretty much all these for the first time. I've not seen a lot of these Marvel movies, so just to hype up Doomsday for me, because I know that movie's gonna be crazy as fuck and it's gonna be massive, and I want to understand the whole lore behind everything. You know, because that was a problem for me. I knew about these characters, but like when the first Avengers movie you see is like Infinity War, it's still great, but like I feel like I want to understand the weight of the movies. I want to understand the weight of the characters, and I feel like going back and watching all these for the first time, it's gonna be definitely a crazy ride. So other than that, guys, like I said, make sure y'all like and subscribe. New videos weekly, and other than that, yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.